Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. It's your boy Just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How you doing, bro?
I love it when it's y'all, but it's only one.
Yeah,
It's natural. It's what comes out. It's all good.
I know, right?
I'm hyped right now. It is 6 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, and in 2 hours exactly, my butt is gonna be sitting in the Gardens of the Galaxy theater near me. So
Lucky bastard.
I am. Now I had to pay for four people, so not that lucky, okay? And on top of that, the worst part, no, I did get to use some scene points, but the worst part, I had a $25 gift card from like a birthday or something to this theater, and I keep forgetting it to add it onto my account. So yesterday I was like, oh, I have this thing. I'm gonna do that for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Go buy the tickets and then look over right afterwards on the side of my bed, and I'm like, there's a gift card right there.
Yeah. That moment when you're like, can I like return the tickets and rebuy them?
I literally thought that because I was like, I use scene points and I can use $25. By the time I was done, it would have been like a $10 affair. It was not.
I know. I know. Well, nonetheless, I am deeply envious of you because I have to wait until Monday.
Yeah, but good reasons all around.
Good reasons, yes. As you all can see, my bags are packed and I'm heading out for vacation. I'll be out for a couple of weeks. So my boy Darcy and our boy Tactix, who unfortunately can't be with us right now, there's a chance he might drop in, but like they will take care of the rest of you while I'm away. I'll hopefully try to like come in for a couple of minutes if I can, but vacation and Wi-Fi depending.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean,
But
where we want to go from here, Umar?
we might as well jump right in to our title conversation and also the first image of our thumbnail. We're going to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3 that has already been released. Now, Darcy and I have, as clearly just stated, not seen it. So, what we're going to do is talk about our predictions about it and also what we have heard so far from those who have and also from the reviews. So, I'm going to put just a little bit of context here. So, this is our second movie of Phase 5
Mm-hmm.
of the MCU. Phase 4, as we talked about in our last podcast between Tactics and I, was a mammoth that wasn't as bad as he thought and he remembered in terms of films. His problem mostly lied within the TV series. And I will say the TV series had some issues here and there, but the movies predominantly were pretty good for Phase 4.
Hmm.
There were some black sheeps in that herd. However, Phase 5 didn't start off great. Again, I didn't hate the movie, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been worse, but could have been better. I had some fun.
There's still Thor: Love and Thunder. That could have been in there.
Yeah. But like now with the whole Jonathan Majors thing happening, that's starting to sour a little bit in hindsight, which is not fair to the movie, but nonetheless, it's what's happening. However, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 being directed by James Gunn,
Mm-hmm.
it's his final foray with the MCU before he's gone and taken over the DCU. So he wrote and directed Volume 3. And based off the trailers, we know that this is going to be an emotional episode or emotional film. The critics have given this. Last time I went on Rotten Tomatoes with like 200 or so, 200 plus reviews, it was getting like 79%, which is not bad. The audience score, however, was at like plus 500, and it was a 92%.
Yeah, there it is.
So that's kind of like okay. So like across the board, this is being liked, which is a nice change of pace for Marvel, given the TV shows and most recent movie. We'll see if Tactics agrees with that. But there have been those among my friends who have watched the movie, and they were saying that they liked it the most out of the three Guardians films.
Mm, that's a good start.
Others were having a hard time deciding between the first or the third one. Everyone
That's
agreed that they didn't like the second one.
that's always good. And Umar, what did you say the tomato meter rating was? If that's what that
Uh,
is.
it was 79 and 92.
It's gone up. It's gone
Oh,
up on
wow.
both accounts.
Really? So what are they now?
So I'll give you the numbers of how many people first, just to
Okay.
slowly hype into this.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So Tomato Meter has 252 reviews, and
Okay.
audience score has over 1,000 verified ratings at this point. Okay, 1,000 plus. Okay, so let's start with the audience score. Audience score is 96% now. Okay.
Damn.
And tomato meter is 80%. I mean, don't expect the tomato meter to rise by any significant amount. It never goes up, it always goes down. So that's an impressive feat. 1% is an
Yes,
impressive feat.
I agree. And also so this would I tend to connect with the critical reviews.
Yeah, of course you do, bro.
So
I love how
I
you
mean
like slowly we're moving into that.
so this is a pretty good chance that I'll actually give this movie an 8. Okay, I gotta pump the brakes because like my predictions are trying to make me like okay, all right. This is positive,
Absolutely.
and I'm not going to read too much into this, but I want to though. This could be
Absolutely.
okay. If I'm going to read into this, this could be that James Gunn still got it, which is boding well for DCU. Secondly, this is a good piece of timing for the MCU
When
because
is James Gunn not got it, man? I heard that statement. When is he not got it? Okay,
Guardians 2.
that was a while ago. Okay.
I'm not saying he don't got it. Also, there are a couple episodes of Peacemaker I was like, but
Oh, okay. Now you tripping. Peacemaker
a
was
couple of episodes. I didn't say the whole thing.
no, not even a couple episodes. The worst moment in the whole thing was the cameo for me. I'm just saying. It was
Um,
cute, but it was like the most out of place thing.
yeah. Nonetheless, I'm just saying that this is good timing for the MCU to get some positive reviews because there has been a lot online, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and just personal conversations with people, not including Tactics. That Phase 4 kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, even though a lot of the films they actually enjoyed. I
You know
think
what?
Thor did a lot of damage.
Oh, it definitely did. You know when you go to a great restaurant before COVID and you go back and you don't taste the same? That's what Marvel has been like since Endgame. It's just like you're like, they put more salt in this.
Good.
Is that MSG?
I will say it's the TV series that left that added the salt because the movies, aside from I would say Eternals and Thor, were the ones that caused the most damage. Even though I enjoyed Eternals, Black Widow, everyone forgets. Like Tactics still doesn't even want to consider it Phase 4.
Yeah, I mean it's really just like Phase 3 plus. Because they
That is
pushed
so
it
well
out.
said.
They pushed that out. That clearly was ready a long time before that.
It didn't even get into a theater response. Anyway, we're digressing. Darce, how about you, man? Like, what have you been hearing about Guardians?
I mean, one that this is going to be an epic film. I'm super excited because it's set to be more of an emotional film, and I like that about James Gunn. What I've learned watching more of his stuff, and especially the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, on its face, especially years ago when I maybe didn't have quite the same appreciation for the art, is that you would see the fun part, but he always has this like emotional layer to whatever he writes. He's always trying to write something about the family and the trials and the stuff that they have to go through.
Yeah,
And I just know like James Gunn. I've seen a bunch of interviews. How do I put this? There was an interview of the cast. They're all sitting around, and they're sitting around with the actor who plays the High Evolutionary, which is ironically plays the character in
and
the
yeah,
Peacemaker.
I really liked him in Peacemaker.
Yeah, and I have a thing to say about him in a second. But they're having an interview, and it reminded me a lot of when Matt Reeves had the interview with the Batman cast, where they all sat around on like actors' chairs, and they were like
Hmm.
in front of like a backdrop that looked like part of the film. And when you have cast set up a really nice place to sit down with the full cast and a director, or most of the cast and the director, to
Yeah,
have an interview, you already kind of know that the movie's more quality because when it's low quality, they just kind of like send you through regular press junkets and they don't
yeah,
really care as much. And you
like
get
Knives Out.
yeah, and you get more of like the actors separated and less people together because it's like, well, I can't be bothered to get in a room with all these people. Like, I'm done with that film. I'm just like, I'm gonna do my contract and get on with it. When you don't care about the film, you just do a couple interviews, try to be funny, make people want to watch it because you're funny in an interview, but not because the movie's good. You know,
Yeah,
versus when they're sitting there and they're talking about the emotional impact and what they loved about it and what they appreciate about the director and what they love about his writing. And they're sitting there having that conversation. You're like, yo, these people enjoyed their time at work, okay? Like they're sitting with the boss and they're complimenting him when they don't have to be in the same room with them anymore, right?
yeah.
So it reminded me of that, and I'm like, that's a good thing. And one thing that James Gunn has said that really hyped me about this and really wants me to make me see this even more is he sees Rocket. He sees himself in Rocket. In Rocket's story, he has a parallel with his own personal life. He's not saying I am Rocket. He's seeing like he's seeing a lot of emotional parallels between something that he's endured in his childhood, in his youth, and how Rocket had some trials and whatnot. So he's put a lot of emotional weight into this, and even his brother, who does even some of the Rocket's the physical acting for Rocket, he even sees Rocket as his brother. Like he sees the
That's
parallels,
cute. That's cute.
and well, cute. Other than the fact that we know we're about to go into an emotional hellstorm for Rocket.
So
This whole film
I
is a Rocket film. It's all
yeah.
his origin, and I'm like, so that's gonna be like, yo, James Gunn, what you gone through, bro? Like, what you gone through?
It's interesting because like I've been hearing a lot of people, not amongst my friends, but like people online who are saying that it is going to hit home, like and on the same level as Endgame, because as they put it, you know the characters for the last 10 years.
Mm.
So just like in Endgame, this is going to be like sucker punch you in a way that you like you know it's coming. It's almost like you've heard about the death, but now you're going to the funeral.
Oof.
And I was like, ooh, ooh. And I was like,
That's a
oh,
well said
wow.
line. That's a
That's
that's
what
a
I'm saying.
well said line. I know. I mean, I know that feeling, and we all know that feeling. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, that hits. But yeah, I'm excited. I've been wanting to see Rocket's like backstory in general, just since the first film. Just when they like, just the way he's presented his how he's communicated. So I'm super excited about it, and yeah, overall, I'm just super jazzed about this film. I don't know if oh Umar, your face froze there for a second. You had me freaked out. I'm like, is he gone? Did he
No, no,
disappear?
no. No, no, no.
Oh,
I was just thinking about what you're saying about like, yeah. So I was just like, yeah, go on.
but yeah, this the High Evolutionary, and what's the golden boy? Can't think of his name
Uh,
right now.
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock. So there's a
I
couple.
cannot wait to see Adam Warlock like in action. Like I hope he has a big part in the film. I hope it's not like a small stuff, but like I wouldn't say I've been a huge fan of Adam Warlock from the comics. I've read him a couple of times, but like he looks dope. He looks dope.
So I heard a couple things about this. I heard
Mm.
one statement about Adam Warlock that like tells me the whole character in like one statement. They compared him to Homelander, especially with his relationship to the High Evolutionary. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be interesting because how
Oh,
codependent Homelander is to like Vought and his High Evolutionary Vought. That's going to be very interesting. The other thing I also heard about the High Evolutionary is my my homie. Well, actually, I don't know. I can't think of better words. A YouTube channel I watch, Tyrone Magnus. He made a statement that I really like about the state of the acting of the High Evolutionary. We know that that actor is really really good, and
Oh, he's dope.
I watched in his interview talking about how because he's a Shakespearean actor, and when James Gunn brought him that character, he was like, this really works for me based off of my Shakespearean background. So it's a very Shakespearean character in the way that he's going to be acting it.
Oh,
On
hells yes. That's
on
you guys know Shakespeare's where I'm at.
And on top of that, this is something I did not know about how James Gunn put together his films. So when he's writing his films, he actually figures out the soundtrack at that point. And because which is similar to Matt Reeves, because Matt Reeves wrote the Batman based off of listening to Nirvana. And then that's why that song was in the trailer and was core to the film, and that's why the tone of it works, because he actually wrote it listening to it, because that's what gave him the inspiration for the tone. And so James Gunn has a very similar process. And one thing he does when he gives all the actors is he gives them the song that matches their character for the movie and what it represents. So the actor, I forget his name, but who plays High Evolutionary, he was listening to classical music, a very specific. Sorry, not classical, opera. He was listening to opera.
Oh,
And he went down his own binge of opera and came back with a specific song that really resonated for him, and they worked it in to the movie to be part of the character. So there was like an evolution, because James Gunn a lot of the actors say, he's like, he knows what he wants, but he's also willing to take other people's ideas and work with it in the moment to figure out where they're going to go. And sometimes they land in places neither of them planned, and they always feel good when they walk away at the end of the day. So these are a lot of things that hype me. But I got off track there. Tyro Magnus said that if it doesn't work out with Jonathan Majors, this villain could be the big bad. Just state that that's how good the acting is, that he feels like this character. Now, I'm not saying that from a writing perspective and from a comic perspective, he could be a big bad. But he's saying is that his acting is so strong, he's like a big bad level that you would feel like everybody could face up against him, because he's delivering like that. Like if Killmonger got his hands on alien tech and started taking over parts of the galaxy, we would believe that would actually, if he got the right steps in place, we would believe he could run that shit. And he would be a dangerous villain at a high level, even though he's not heavily superpowered. So yeah, it's I'm like, that hypes me a lot, because hearing it's a good villain it makes a good story. It's needed. So I'm hyped over here. I'm hyped.
Just to follow up on a question that Maybot put out, she's like, the YT is called Magnus. I think that was something related to what you were talking about, Darcy.
Oh yeah, the YouTuber channel is Tyrone Magnus. That's what she's asking for.
Okay. So that goes into her statement where she's like, if so, that's funny because an alias for Adam Warlock is Adam Magnus.
Oh,
in the comics. Also, I'm assuming that Maybot has watched Guardians, because she's like, he was very operatic, which is the High Evolutionary. And also she's like, that's what I love about these movies. I feel the soundtrack. I think that's the thing that, like, I remember singing along to the first Guardians movie and I just like loved. Well, aside from the fact that it was just awesome, but like I just loved listening to the music and like going along with it, because you're just like, oh, that song,
yeah,
and then like just like it connects you to the film.
Yeah, and James Gunn always says that first song is supposed to be telling of the whole film. So we can watch it, get a feel emotionally what that whole film is going to be about, whatever that song is. And then when we go back and rewatch it, realize that's what the whole movie was about.
Yeah. No worries, Maybot. You didn't give anything away.
No, Maybot, you good. The other thing about this, if you actually notice, is that Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was 70s music.
Yep.
2 was 80s. This one's all 90s.
Yeah, I figured as much. Because like I'm I've purposely avoided the soundtrack online just so I could be
Oh,
surprised in the film.
oh yeah, yeah. This is not like another film where it's like, oh, that those are some cool strings. This is a film where it really matters, you know.
Yeah, and
Or
what?
even
Okay,
another film that would have been was the Wakanda Forever. Can you imagine listening to that soundtrack in advance of the film?
I did.
You screwed up.
Not really, because I listened to Rihanna's song and I listened to two others, and I was kind of like, which ironically I missed some of the soundtracks that I actually ended up loving the most, like the song when they go to Talcon. I didn't hear that beforehand, and there were two others. There's one where Okoye was being chased in the cops, like that one, and there was another. I can't think of the other one right now, but there were three songs that I didn't hear until I watched the movie, and I was like, "Woo, that's great." But the other three songs that I heard beforehand were the ones that I was just like, because I didn't even, I was expecting to love Rihanna's song because I actually like her music. It was the weakest song for me on in the soundtrack.
I mean, I end up enjoying it a lot afterwards. I would say that there was I mean, I didn't listen to it before. Actually, I know I did hear a little Rihanna song beforehand, but
Mm.
everything mattered afterwards for me, where it was like I know the emotional connection was deeper. But anyways, you had a point. I distracted you from it.
Uh, I totally forgot. Nonetheless, I I'm excited to watch this film,
Yeah,
which I is the first time. Well, it's nice to not have to worry about an MCU property,
because it's been that way for a minute.
but only because like there's been so much contention on Phase Four. Like people have been hating on the shows, and and it depends on which show. Like it's not like everyone's been hating on one. It's like everyone's had to fight either to hate on a show or to like a show.
I mean, I don't, when it comes to contention, I don't give a crap, right? Like whatever everybody else thinks, I don't care. I'm gonna watch it, and if I like it, I like it. The problem for me has been there's been a lot of problem because there's just been a lot of failure, or there's been a lot of disappointment, or hype one way that doesn't meet it. So for me, it's just been a lot of it wasn't good enough, and I just didn't end up enjoying it. So that's why Phase Four was problematic for me because they didn't hit.
I kind of wish you were here for the podcast last week because now I really want to know. Like, was it the TV or was it the movies that bothered you?
Um. Yeah, it's a good question. But to be honest, gut reaction, it wasn't one or the other. It was the compounding effect of more misses than hits.
So
And so it was like
yeah,
it started to roll after a certain point. I would say the TV show the TV shows created more of that problem. So probably just because they were making the compounding effect happen faster.
yeah, and also longer periods because for Tactics, I literally like went through each of the movies, and aside from obviously we all know his hate for Thor: Love and Thunder, but aside from that film, he didn't actually have any significant problems with the other films. Like he had some issue with Eternals. He forgot about Black Widow, but like everything else, he actually was like pretty much on board. With the TV shows was where for him was the problem, and that was all around the same time as Thor: Love and Thunder.
I have a funny thought. We can't get the answer to this right now, but I wonder if Thor: Love and Thunder for him was so bad that if the rest of Phase Four was amazing, he would have still hated the whole
He
phase.
says he's. I asked him that question. He said it is absolutely that. Like he's like any phase that has Thor: Love and Thunder, he'll hate it just because it has that one.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's
I
like
know.
it's like the best phase there ever was, and he's over here like that, but they had that one thing, so it's a straight no go.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is shaping up to going back to basics or like back to like the prime of the phases so far from what we've heard.
Okay, but before we move on, quick
Okay.
thought to that though.
Okay.
So you're saying Phase Five is shaping up to
Yes.
be good
Yes.
on the back of the guy who's leaving. Who's already left on his last film.
That's not why I'm saying it.
Why are you saying it, Umar? Let me give you the
Because
stage. Tell us.
Because after this, we're getting the Marvels, we're getting Captain America: New World Order, we're getting Secret Invasion. Well, actually, I think those are all the ones I can remember right now for Phase 5. So, like, oh, did I lose Darcy? Am I
No,
by
I'm still
myself?
here.
Oh,
No,
thank
no.
God. Okay,
I,
good.
I
'Cause,
put
like,
you on. I put you on solo.
oh, I thought you left. I'm like, wait, am I all by myself? Yeah. So as a result, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, depending on who you ask, okay film, fun film. No one said they love that film, and very few people are openly acknowledging they liked it. I enjoyed myself, but it could have been so much better. This movie shaping up to be, like, based on what everyone is saying, shaping up to be like a positive home run. I was going to say home swing, but I don't think that's the right term. Sports, a positive sports statement. But anyway,
A home swing. That's definitely home run. Home run is correct, but a home run. Home swing. No.
Then there's the Marvels that I know I have a lot more anticipation than you guys do. Fair enough, but it hits more personally for me.
I don't get me wrong. I'm really excited for one person out of those three people. Here's what I think, though, Umar.
What about Teona?
What's that? Yeah, I want to say it goes in order of
Iman, Teona, and then yeah. I love Teona, but I also love WandaVision.
Umar, let me correct you correctly, okay? Iman, what's her second name? Person's name?
Iman Vellani.
No. Well, I was just gonna say first name. Iman and
Teona.
Teona. That was my list. I just want to make sure we're clear, okay? It was a two-parter, okay? But here's the thing. I think that film is going to be 65, okay? A 65 kind of film, okay? And
Interesting.
I think Bree's gonna hold it down a lot. So and then
that's a personal bias, though.
Yes, but she's still in the film. She's a person in the film.
The two of you're like, I almost want to see your reactions if Brie Larson walked by.
but so
sorry,
that film right now is the highest chance to be decent, and your hopes for Secret Wars are like dwindling, oh man.
Why? Secret Invasion, not Wars.
Secret Invasion. Because isn't Kang supposed to be an important person in that film?
Nope. That's secret. That's Secret War. Secret Invasion is the Nick Fury one.
Oh, the Nick Fury one. Oh yeah, that looked like it go be fire. That looked like it go be fire. Yeah.
And then also the one after that is Captain America: New World Order.
Okay. So we have a little bit of lead time before the whole thing explodes in our face if everything. I
think Phase 5 is going to be the one that like kind of like the middle part was the best, and then because of unfortunately real world issues, both the writer strike and also Jonathan Majors, if it continues to go this direction, it gonna nosedive. We're going to talk about the writer strike in a little bit, but I do want to bring up Maybot's comment. She says, "I would say for Gunn, the Guardians series was a hat trick for sports metaphors." I'm not going to lie, I don't know what that means.
Thank you for helping him out and then exposing him all at the same time. Yeah, it just means three in a row.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just realized that we grew up a little different, bro. When it came to sports. The thing is, I don't keep up with sports, but I actually played them all. So like, I actually fundamentally understand them from playing them.
I was reading comics when people were watching them.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I wasn't reading.
No one would put me on their team. Also because I was probably reading comics.
Yeah, fair. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But Yeah. So, nonetheless, like I have hope for Phase 5, and I was worried when Ant-Man came out that I was like, "Ooh, is this going to be the tone?" And then now, because of what's happening with this one, I will grant you, this is from a guy who's leaving and as you say, he hits good. However, the people in charge of the stuff that is coming forward, I'm actually a fan of. And hopefully, if the new shakeup for Blade is going the way I think it is, Blade actually could be dope as fuck.
I mean, it just better be, like, with all the effort in trying to get the right thing out of it. You know, that better spawn the right property. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
like, let me put it to you this way: if Ezra Miller can hold back the production of the Flash for years and force it into a banger, all this guy's got to do is not beat people up.
Yeah.
You're on the same path. Just don't hurt random civilians, and we are good. Like, make sure you can show up to the press junkets. That's all I'm saying.
That's a whole other conversation that
I know.
I don't think is going to happen. But moving on to our next topic, which is going to be run by our bro Darcy, what I would like to call deep diving with Darcy. Maybe
we need to change that title. We need to change that title. That triple D title needs to change.
I was trying to go for alliteration, but I heard it afterwards, and see, on paper it looked fine, but like saying out loud didn't go right.
Both the acronym and the saying all out was just wrong. Yep. Yeah. Maybe I'll just like write this and then follows it up with a.
Facts. My bad. Okay. We're going to talk to Darcy about something he is currently watching that I refuse to watch, but I'm going to be eventually suckered into watching anyway.
Yep.
Superman and Lois season 3. Now, for those of you who've been watching the podcast for a while, you know that we've covered Superman and Lois season 1 and 2, and that Darcy and I and Tactix, because like I think Tactix didn't even bother watching the last half of season 2. We fell out of love. It got way too CW'd, and oh, look at who just showed
Wow,
up.
that's crazy, bro. Wow. Tell me more.
Hold up. Before we move on, did you hear the name of the segment that Umar just came up with 2 seconds ago?
No, I didn't hear it.
He called it Deep Diving with Darcy. We have to change that immediately, is what I said.
100%.
No one said anything in the chat when I wrote it down.
Oh, Maybot said,
Well, now, yeah, okay, cool. But Maybot, we'll just run these titles by you then. Anyway, T and I have not been, well, welcome T. We're glad to have you, brother. Tactix and I have not been following Superman and Lois. But after a particular clip that I just shared just for the sake of sharing, but I shared a clip of season 3 of Superman and Lois, and Darcy was like, yeah, okay, I got to check this out. And I was like, don't do it, man. But Darcy's taking the bullet for us. So we're going to hear, Darcy, what's a season 3 all about?
All right, let me just kick this off. Where do I start? Okay. So season 3 fundamentally is 40% great and 60% the shit we already know.
Oh my God.
Maybe 45, 55. Okay. Maybe around there. Okay. I'm not going to say 50-50. It's too generous. Okay.
Okay.
So one half of it is all the normal CW stuff.
Yo, Maybot's on fire right now. She says, let's hear Darcy go deep.
We are watching the wrong show.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm reeling in. Okay, all right. So let me put up on screen some things that are decent and yet at the same time. Okay. So first thing up, This is our new big bad. I'm already forgetting his name, to be honest.
Bruno
with you.
Mannheim.
Thank you very much. You ain't even watching the season. You know better than me. His acting is great. He's a very imposing character. He actually feels like a dude that has half the intelligence of Lex Luthor, but way more bravado and way more like when he stands in a room, the way because he's got gravitas to his voice, and when he stands in a room with Superman, he actually doesn't feel like he's a superhero, but he feels like he's got the balls to actually stand in front of Superman and unwaveringly like tell him what he thinks without fear of repercussion. He has a what's that?
Do you guys know who this actor is?
Yeah, I know him from Walking Dead at one point, but I don't remember. And I know him from like other stuff, but I don't remember like everything he's done.
Yeah, so for me, he was two things for me. He was Tyrese from The Walking Dead, loved him in that, and he was also Fred Johnson from The Expanse. I've only watched the first like 2 seasons. His name is Chad L. Coleman. He is an actor. He has got range, and I believe every word you just said about him, Darcy.
Yeah,
we found the Tyrese that you actually like, Umar. That's amazing.
Oh, that was.
He makes me forget any other Tyrese's exist.
Oh man, that was good. That was good.
We missed you, T. We missed you.
that was good. But yeah, like overall, whenever he delivers, I believe it, and his motive is actually really, really good. It's a very human motive, and it parallels the other theme of this season going on with Lois. I'll get into that in a minute, but his motive is good. What sucks about it, though, is the villains, like the superhero stuff. Now, this character is cool. You see this mask here; it's kind of creepy. It actually changes shape a lot, like in The Watchmen with I forget his name. Rorschach, but it's more like a sand-like texture on the outside of the mask, and it's reacting to sound waves. And some of the CGI and obviously the film stuff has always been pretty good in this show, like the cinematography. And they got
a budget.
Yeah, and they've come back to a bit of the graininess in this season, I would say. And like just give you a sense of like the CGI epicness is like a scene where like the sound waves are coming off. You can see the mask is different and it's like blowing through this glass. And like I didn't show the other part because as a still image I took a photo, it didn't look good, but like the glass explodes and a couple characters get blown away, and it's actually like you watch it and I was like, damn, like this is a movie. Like they actually got the special effects department working like hard this episode. So like there's actually some good stuff there, and this is the best superhero villain because every other effing the henchman is somebody with Superman's blood in them, and they're Superman powered, but temporarily. The problem is like, and in last season they had Reverso Superman. I forget his name, but Bizarro, and they somehow brought him back in this season. They hinted at he's coming back, and I'm like, oh my god, why does every villain have to have a Superman power? There are so many other things, and this show will not stop just having Superman fight himself. It is so goddamn annoying. Like that's the thing that's bothering the hell out of me. Let me just move on from that point. Now, here we have the replacement for Jonathan Kent on the left-hand side. And ironically, it is not an Aunt Viv moment. It is actually an improvement, ironically.
Really? Interesting.
So the other guy, he was fine. But he always felt a little bit not like how I would imagine Clark's first son. He was always a little bit too much, a little too arrogant, and a little bit too into drugs, and and there was just like a vibe coming off of him that just didn't quite feel like other incarnations I've seen like in animated shows of Jonathan. And this guy actually feels more like what I would imagine Clark's son to be. He's a little warmer, and
Okay.
he's obviously bigger. Like he's just a more muscular dude, which actually pairs well against the second son, which I can't remember his name right now, even though he's on screen.
Jordan?
Oh, yeah, Jordan. Because Jordan's a super powered one, but he's smaller, and this one is physically bigger. And for some reason, that complementariness makes him feel like he's like less of a useless character, and actually like the athlete he's supposed to be in the role he's playing.
I see what you're saying.
It just feels a bit better, and he's just a bit more of an emotive individual. Not that the other one wasn't. The other one was like dramatic and like, you know, angsty. This guy feels a little bit more grounded and less angsty, and I like it, especially with the tone of the season, because the big tone in this season has to do with Lois finding out she has breast cancer, and this is where the show is actually really good. In this episode, which I think was 2 or 3, I cried like 2 to 3 times. The last
What?
one was straight hard tears. Like I was getting like choked, and then at the end I was straight crying. Okay, because there is when she reveals to her, well, first she reveals to Clark that she has breast cancer, and
Yeah.
that's emotional. Then she reveals to her sons, like, because they come home right afterwards. I mean,
Right.
you know, convenient timing. And they come home right afterwards, and there's a scene where she's sitting at the table and she's telling them the information. And then as you get further and further, the audio cuts out. You don't hear what she's saying, and she just goes into a tear moment. I'm gonna get choked up saying it. And her 2 sons, who are like devastated in their face, when the audio cuts out, they just both step back from their chairs, stand up, and walk around the table equally at the same time and hug their mother. And then it pans, or it cuts away from them all crying together to Clark, and you start to see his face, and you see the inability to be the strongest man in the world, and his inability to save his partner, and that pain that it causes. And that's where this show is really amazing. It's like that first episode where
Yeah.
his mother passes away, and everything revolving around them, and every conversation, like Clark goes in one episode to they have a therapy session for when you are a partner to somebody dealing with cancer.
Group
And
therapy.
He goes to it, and it's like,
Support
nah,
group.
it's not for me. And he just basically doesn't do it at all. And then throughout the episode, Lois starts to reveal to him her frustration with how he's so upbeat and non-accepting of her situation. And there's a whole like thing that she goes through talking to another character, and then she goes and expresses it to him. They have like a fight about it, and then he ends up going to therapy. And so like there's really like good emotion, and these 2 actors, they're doing an amazing job with it. The sons are doing an amazing job with it. So everything related to this emotion is fantastic. And there's a lot of interesting parts related to Bruno Mannheim, related to her cancer and to his character, that's also really good. It's just whenever they get into the superhero stuff, it is Superman fighting Superman, and it's pathetic. I mean, and then there's also the side family whatever that we don't care about.
I'm so sick and tired of the Lana Lang family.
You want to make it worse? You want to make it worse? So you know the newspaper that Lois works at? You know the girl who started that newspaper and she works with? Yeah, she's
Chrissy or
now
something?
Yeah, she's sleeping with Lana Lane's husband now. Like,
Oh
it's
my
just-
god!
Wow.
You're like, I mean, it's cute. I don't need it. like that's all I gotta say, right? And even like I forget his name, the Hammer dude and his daughter. I don't even care for them at this point. They're
Oh,
just
John
like,
Henry?
yeah, John Henry. Like they're fine. It's just I feel like there's a plot thrown out for him at one point, and I'm like, it's just kind of thrown out there.
Wait,
And
so
then-
if Chrissy hooked up with Kyle, does that mean John Henry's going to hook up with Lana?
No. Like
All right, I just did the math, and I'm like, wait, all the adults are pairing up.
it's just all these things don't matter. Like they like it's like it doesn't do anything for me. But anyways, moving on. I forgot to bring this up, but just showing this guy, like, this is in that moment where they have that emotional thing, and this is
Gotcha.
just before he gets up and steps around the table. But I mean, like, I don't know, like, it just, this actor's working more for me because in these moments, he delivers. And now the moment that brought me to watch the show, this one.
My man.
This scene is phenomenal because it's when, so this dude here, and I got to see the context leading into it. So Clark's son is dating this guy's daughter, and he's a right piece of trailer park trash. And so he takes her to the house, and this guy confronts him over something because he has like a nice big truck. He's got like a big Dodge Ram, and he's like, "Oh, where you get that? Where you got all that money?" And he confronts him, and he ends up saying something to Jonathan. I forget what it was. Jonathan like has a bit of a spine and says something back, so the guy attacks him. Right.
Oh.
So when he goes home, and he like punched him in the face, and so he's got a shiner. Right. He goes home, and Lois is like, "What? Who hit you?" Like, she pulls it out of him. She's like, "Boys, get in the truck." So she drives the truck down there. This is like just after she found out she got cancer too, and she hasn't told anybody. She drives her two sons down to this house and is like approaching this man at his door. Blah 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 blah. Guy pulls a gun on her. Okay. The boys are like, and then Jordan's in that car like he's ready to like fly out of this truck and beat the hell out of this dude, right? And she's like, gives a look, kind of like from Man of Steel when you give that look at the tornado, kind of like gives a look back. And I know you don't like that scene, but she gives a look back. But she gives a look back and tells like Jordan that same kind of way, like, don't move. But it makes sense in this context.
It makes so much more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So then when he gets home and he's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "Clark, this doesn't need suit man." He's like, "He's not going." and he walks out and flies. And I'm just like,
I like that.
It was such a good thing. And then he comes and he handles this guy. And the amount of restraint he has to have to hold this guy down, but like let up 0.5% to make it look like he's not struggling and is struggling at the same time. Like, he's not struggling. Like, he looks like a guy is so strong he doesn't struggle in this moment, but he still, the other human body has the ability to move him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a subtle thing, because if he really wanted to, the table wouldn't exist. The guy would just be inside 6 feet already. So yeah, this was such a great scene. And like I said, this show is like 45% I'm enjoying it, and then the rest of the time I'm over on my other computer back here coding. And then I'm like, "Oh wait, what are they doing? Okay, let me just come back. Let me just see this emotional scene. Let me get my tears out. All right, y'all got Lana back on. I'll be over here."
Yeah, honestly, I think that's going to be the same with me if I'm forced to watch this. I'm going to skip the Lana parts. I literally can't survive her. Like, her and that idiotic child of hers, Sarah, and Kyle. All three of them. They're just so frustrating.
I like Sarah's acting to a degree. I just don't like.
She can act. I'll give her that. She can act.
Yeah, I just don't like them in this show, as in the characters, not the actors. Just like the subject doesn't do anything for me. It's like two shows. It's like the typical CW show, and then this like HBO emotional drama happening with Superman and Lois, and then we just like turn back as like CW. It's like we just keep going back and forth between two shows in one.
That's jarring.
Yeah, so that's how I feel about it. I gave you the full spiel. Y'all can know if you want to watch or not want to watch it. I'm not promoting it. I'm just telling you so you know.
T, are you going to watch it?
I mean, Darcy's selling it pretty well. So
I started with the shit though.
yeah,
But the emotional stuff hits though. That's the thing. Like, I cried. I was taking the photos for this episode, and I was like, "Don't do it. Don't cry."
All right. Well, I guess we will do. I'm sure they're going to go on a hiatus soon, so like we can try to catch up after Tactix graduates. But all right, we'll give season 3 a try.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right. So now something. Moving on to our next topic, which is something we've already touched on earlier. The writer's strike 2023. Now, for those of you who don't know, the writers from the union for the writers who write TV shows and movies, predominantly, this is focusing. Well, now it's like everyone because everyone is doing streaming services. They are striking for a few reasons. One, because they haven't had, in fact, not only have they not had any form of increase in pay, they've actually decreased in pay over the last like 15 years due to the overwhelmingly shot increase of streaming services, mostly because the rules and guidelines for how to pay writers for online content hasn't been updated since like webisodes were a thing.
Yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, those lawyers, people are getting paid like 5, 10, and 50 and $100 per episode.
Yeah, and like that, and that kind of reminds you of like what happened in what is happening and has happened in Japan regarding manga and anime. Like those animators and those writers are like borderline poverty.
No, they are
And
poverty. They are
yeah,
poverty.
yeah, and like we're eating up all of their content. So anyway, they're asking for like pay increases and also for back pay for like all the streaming services that have been like huge payments for all their stuff. However,
that back pay is that's a big number.
Yeah. The second thing that they are fighting for is, and it's funny because Tactix brought this up, I think like 2 or 3 weeks back. There's like an AI that does content. And, you know, of course, Tactix won't use it for his exams, but we wish you do. But I think it's like Smart GI or something like
Chat GPT, you mean?
That's it. Yeah. So that basically can absorb and look over content from other sources and formulate a new content. So what studios have said that they have admitted that they have been thinking about and also have tried to do and also are planning to do specifically during this writer strike is to have the AI draft scripts and then give them to writers to like flourish.
Revise, yeah.
Exactly. So like writers are like, so you're replacing us and using our content that you paid us pennies for to make like more formulaic stuff. Nah. So currently, I think this is like the 4th day of their strike. And if I remember correctly, the last writer strike was like in 2012, right?
Something like that. It was like 100 days or something.
Yeah. So like, we'll see how this goes. But I wanted to see what you guys have to say about this. Darcy, you want to start?
Yeah. I mean, one, I'm going to make a slight correction on something just because I know more of this being a developer. And I use ChatGPT all the time, but not for writing scripts. That's not how I use it at all. But the way that stuff works is that it has a database of stuff that it's ingested from the internet. So basically, think if like it goes out and it pulls up information off of websites, like pulls off text, and it's that database was up until like November of 2021. ChatGPT, unlike some others that are out there, doesn't have the ability to ingest new information, as in like it doesn't go out to the internet and grab new stuff. You can give it an input of something and then say like, take this and then do something with it. So that in a way it can, but just like articulate, because some people just don't understand how this stuff works, and
fair enough.
And then they have like a bigger misunderstanding. But not saying that they can't write scripts, because they can. So yeah, number one, the fact that the industry has allowed people to do the pricing of what you get paid and compensated against for writing for stuff that goes on streaming based off of a concept of something from 15 years ago when the internet was barely a thing is absolutely theft. Like, it's just fundamentally theft. Like, you're just going to say that these people, because the webisode idea was like, this is back when things would have been like 2 minutes long, right? And you're like, oh, we'll base it off of how much we'll pay then. And now you're going to say, oh, I want you to do a full featured film that's the same as what will go in the theater. And yet you're going to pay me based off of something that isn't the medium of what I am making. Right? It's like saying at one point in your life, you learned how to cut and build a little birdhouse. And since that's the price that you did at that point, when you go and build this skyscraper, I'm going to pay you the birdhouse price. Right? Like, because technically it's still a building, right? It's like, it doesn't add up at all. It doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I'm all for them on that. And on the idea of using ChatGPT to write the base scripts and have them rewrite it, yeah, I'm with him on that. I don't even want to watch what that's going to create. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with a writer trying to have a creative process and using a tool like ChatGPT and having it spawn up different things to give it different perspectives so that they can go and write their own thing because they're looking at it, but not as a like basically a way of cheating on a paper you have to hand in by having it do the work and just editing it. No, I'm like, if you were saying like cross this and it writes something and you're like, that's it. Oh, I like what it did there. Let me now go off and do something. Kind of like this Mashley anime that we're watching where it's like, what if we brought One Piece and Harry Potter together? Or not One Piece. One Punch Man and Harry Potter and made an anime, and then they came up with that. If someone chat GPT'd like random things to cross and that's what they came up with,
I'm down for that. Yeah.
It's fantastic. But there's still an art to human expression and creativity that has to happen, and if you just start pumping this stuff out like that, you're just going to be bad content, and they're just going to keep going down this rabbit hole that they've been going down, which is why people don't go to the theaters as much. So you can say it's all Marvel, but before Marvel, I was starting to not want to watch as many movies because I was seeing the formula 15 years ago, and I'm like, these films have no heart, they have no creative expression, there's nothing here. It's just this, I've seen this movie, it's just different actors and a slightly adjusted different scenario. So I want these people to be compensated, and I want them to be compensated well so they can create good things. I look up to like people like Todd McFarlane, who had a completely different model for how he compensated the comic book writers that worked under him compared to Marvel and DC, where they got paid pennies compared to what Todd McFarlane's company does for his creators. And if you allow these creators to be paid well, so they don't have to, worry so much about living, I'm sure they'll create more good things. So that will make you more money in the end. You can't just starve everybody, make them live like hell, and just say, oh, that's what makes creators create better, while you are out here just getting rich off of them. No. They need to be compensated, and I'm in support of them.
T?
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially that last sentiment, Darcy, in regards to just taking care of your employees, and your employees will take care of you and your business, right? I feel like with lack of compensation for all their hard work, it's truly unfair to them, and they don't get the credit that they deserve. Like when I was in film school, I heard not so much a quote, but there was a saying, because I went to school to become an editor initially, and one of my buddies, he had said that editing is basically a loveless job. Same with writing to a lesser degree, but like editing especially, because if you are a good editor, nobody notices, right? If you're a bad editor, everybody notices that shit. Like if things are choppy, then like people don't really notice it, right? But the same thing can kind of be said in not to a lesser extent, but in terms of writing, because usually it's the actors that get are front and center, so they get a lot of the recognition. Next is the director, and then afterwards it becomes the writer. But the writer is like essentially like maybe not the bread and butter, but it's
the backbone.
It's the backbone, exactly, right? And so I feel like they have to be well compensated. And this whole thing about Chat GPT is kind of scary in the sense of how things have become so automated now. It's very, very damaging to not only the film industry, but to a lot of industries that rely on content, right? Like, it like
Yeah.
everything is becoming either self-served or automated to the point where I remember Instagram had this feature, and I did it unknowingly, failing to realize the damage that it could do from participating in this. But Instagram had this app where it was a third party app basically, where you can kind of I think you give this app your photos, and then basically it kind of it morphs your photos into these like
Oh, right.
different
Yeah.
kinds of like
AI art.
stylistic, yeah, like AI art basically. And apparently one of my artist friends was saying that she boycotted that app because what the AI was actually doing was similar to what Chat GPT does, where it kind of takes an amalgamation of different kinds of information and blends it all together. This AI in particular was doing the same thing, and getting like stylistic ideas from other artists and combining it with your photos to make your image the way it wants basically. And so in a sense it was stealing other people's work and not giving them the credit that they deserve. And
Uh,
that's kind of the route that a lot of these AI tools are going now, and in terms of the direction. And the same thing with like I don't know how true this is, but apparently Drake is trying to sue a lot of these AI technology devices or whatever it is, because now you have these AI apps that can take Drake's voice and literally create a whole album using his voice. Like
Yeah,
I've
you hear
heard
the
a
hit
bunch of
song?
songs. Yeah, like I've heard a bunch of songs from like Drake. I've heard songs from
whoa.
Michael Jackson. The AI is getting crazy now, bro. And it's like it's scary to think that like even I had my aunt call me the other day, and she was like, "Are you okay?" Like, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she's like, "Oh, because I got a message uh, on my phone, and it was in your voice saying that you were in trouble or something." And I'm like, "Are you sure that was someone not like that was just fucking with you?" Or and she's like, "No, no, like it was actually your voice, and it said that you were in trouble or whatever." So I had to call and like make sure. So I know I'm going off on a tangent in regards to the strike, but it just
It's
goes to
connected.
show, yeah, it
It's
just goes to
connected.
show how detrimental this AI thing can be. It's useful in a lot of ways, but at the same on the other side of the spectrum, it's like one, it if it continues to progress and we're not able to adapt, it can make humans obsolete. So, you know, I'm in full support of this writer strike and them demanding more money, because at the end of the day, it's like no, I don't care how good technology is, you can't compete with the human mind in the sense of creativity and the emotion that you put into your work and into your artistry. I just don't see that being a reality. And so even with that being said, like if we're now, or not us, but like if studios are now depending or relying on AI to create content and kind of take the middleman out of the equation, that being the writers, then I'm with Darcy. I don't know if I want to see a movie like that lacks heart and it's just all based on technicality. Like it just,
No soul.
yeah, there's no soul.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with both of you. Like it was funny because I watched Ghosted, and that movie, like, despite
Fucking
the fact
terrible.
that the movie was trash, but someone
I
said
like the
something that
actors and didn't like the movie.
exactly,
Yeah,
that's exactly how I
the
felt.
cameo saved that movie, but other than that, that
Yes.
movie sucked.
So one of the reviewers said, and I can't get it out of my head ever since they said it, is like this felt like someone did the smart GPT
Yeah.
and that's like the first gen of scripts from them. And I was like, yeah, because it had all this random shit that they just shoved in there and like thought that like they could like make funny with a whole bunch of actors, and it was just trash. And it lacked heart. It
Yeah.
lacked anything, like it lacked a funny bone. It was just on paper shit. And
Yeah.
also some massively bad pacing. But like still.
Yeah, I actually asked Chat GPT to write me a workout plan, um, or a work like a just like a workout, like a training program, just to see what it would give me based off of like all my credentials that I put it in. and I should have actually turned this into content. I wasn't thinking of it at the time, and it wasn't that good. It was just very basic, generic shit, and I had to do a lot of editing. I mean, it was a good attempt, a valiant attempt, but at the same time, it's like Darcy said, there's no soul, there's no heart, there's like it's basically just taking basic information and kind of putting it together and be like, hey, this is a standardized program or a standardized script based off of what you want, but nothing else. There's no heart, there's no soul. It's lifeless. Enjoy.
Yeah. So let's hope that the studios will come to their senses and actually like pay and like because honestly, like last time the writer strike happened, it caused like a whole bunch of shows either went downhill and never recovered, or some just got canceled that were good. And especially if they want to keep doling out stuff like in terms of streaming services, they got to pony out.
So what needs to happen here in order for change to be implemented? Because what's from stopping the studios from just saying, okay, well, fuck the writers, we'll just use this new AI technology and write a whole bunch of scripts and
what will happen is they can't afford to have a complete, like, let's just say the technology isn't quite there yet for them to feel confident enough to just give us AI content. Mm-hmm. They need people to write. Now they could hire independents, mm-hmm. but like you're basically asking for content from an AI, and you're asking for newbies or like people out of film school or like just randos basically proofreading that.
This is a union too, right?
Yeah, this is the union.
So that they will likely have a legal problem if they start hiring a bunch of independents.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next statement. So it's like they have a lot of say, and also they have a lot of actors backing them up, and also like Tonight shows and stuff like that. So like they have support. It's just that the studios are really pushing back because they don't want to I think the studios would be fine with updating the payment, but the back pay is the problem because a lot of these like you said, Tactix, like essentially they've demoralized the writers for years. Mm-hmm. And the only writers that have actually like done well are the ones who are also executive producers, but that's still because they're executive producers that they've done well. So like unless you decide to do both rooms, because like writers' rooms have gotten smaller and they're doing less episodes.
Well, one thing about that back pay though is that it's smart strategy, in a negotiation strategy, because if you're saying I want a better pay, and then you go, okay, I want better pay, and then they go, well, this is how much I want, and they go, well, this is how much we're willing to give, and you fight until you try to find a middle ground. If you're saying I want better pay and I want you to pay me this large sum of money, right? You can probably get that better pay higher and then give up on the large lump sum of money just to get that pay higher, so that they don't have to give you a lump sum of cash, or they'll give a lump sum of cash in some way, but it's smaller and it's to the guild, and then they can disseminate how they want, right, kind of a thing. But yeah, here's the thing I will say about AI, just as like somebody, so like as a developer, there's a lot of people similar to the content game who are talking about, I can just go and ChatGPT and blah 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 blah. Look, I have a whole website, and every time I've seen that stuff, I'm like, this is the worst website I've ever seen. This is not gonna hold up. Where these things make a lot of sense, and I find, the way I use them is like a couple of things. I'm writing code, or I am working with code I don't understand, and I can take the entire block of code and ask it, as long as there's nothing sensitive in there, and I can say, explain this to me, and it can do that. It can articulate a lot of information. Or you can have scenarios where you have something where you have a large set of information and you want to parse through it and find something, right? Like go through, like let's say you have some legal problem and you have a lot of scripts, and you need to go through all the scripts and find some phrasing and statement in every single script to change it, right? And specific references and context. You can ask it to do that, and it could help you. Those are things that are like not replacing necessarily of core roles that are super important to the creative process. They are solving very unique and complex problems that would take a lot of time, and you can make them a lot shorter. That's where I think it's a value. right? Because it helps everybody at every level, depending on what the problem is. But yeah, when it comes to this replacing people, that's BS. And where I think what needs to happen here is it's the pockets of these studios get hit. I think if they will put out some Chat GPT level movies, and how to put this, those are going to be The Rock and Kevin Hart films. And what I mean by that is they are bare minimum average films with high profit.
Yeah.
And they're the made for TV stuff. But they're going to try to bank on it, and it's not going to be the big things that win. And at some point, there's constant diminishing returns on those low-level, high-profit things because they make less profit over time when people feel like I've watched this enough times. I don't want to watch the new ones. And then you start to actually lose your profits because people aren't watching them at all. And you're spending money, but you're not getting anything back from it. So it's the pockets have to be hit, and like we're in a place where there's a lot of fakery in the creative world happening, music, movies, TVs, writing, everything. But I think we're going to end up in a renaissance of going back to rawness in a period of time, because I think the world is going to get fed up with, or get so bored or get so desensitized that suddenly someone's going to come back with an album. Someone's going to come up with a movie that's so creative and so ballsy and bold that everyone will just be like, it'll just draw everyone's attention away from the numbingness of sameness. So
yeah. All right. Moving on to our final topic. Which is do more search.
You all right, guy? You good?
I inhaled a whole
Take
bunch.
Some water, bro. Yeah. Drink. We got time.
Sorry, I'm good. All right, so we have some very good news, or I should say, I'm very happy about the news I'm about to announce. We're going to do another touch base with Tactix, and it's because
I was not prepared for this. Hold on, I didn't read the schedule, bro.
I'll set you up.
That's me in class when I don't know the answer and I get called out. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, trust me, you got this one. So we have talked about the first half of season 6 of My Hero Academia as Tactix has gone through the first half. We've left it alone for a little while, and because our boy was studying, we kind of left it alone for a little bit. Now, after some excessive amounts of pleading on my part privately, and also me trying to work out a schedule for him to kind of work it into when he's studying to just watch something while he's having dinner or lunch, our boy has slowly but surely crossed the finish line and is now officially seen all episodes of season 6. It did have one back, almost like a inadvertent back sidestep of now that he can't watch anime without food. But I mean,
Darcy, back me up on this, bro. Don't you have to be eating something to be watching some shit?
I mean,
you don't have to, but I mean, it's
that's how I start it. So I have my breakfast and I watch One Piece, and at lunch when I'm eating, I put on One Piece or I put on Mishley right now, or Mashley, sorry,
Mashley, yeah,
Mashley. But I will watch without. But 100% when I'm eating, it's probably gonna be an anime.
There you go, my nigga. Keep me, bro.
All right, I'm outvoted on this one because I just watch anime without food. But anyway, mostly because I don't like to eat and also have to read the subtitles.
I feel like you don't eat much at all, anyway. So there's that too. We've talked about
what, bro? What are you talking about, man?
Anyway, I hope this is giving you enough time to sort your thoughts out. But so Tactix has now watched. So the last time we talked to him, he was still near the end of the fight with Shigaraki, which is our boy in the top left, who was getting pummeled by our man Deku, while also him just exploding his arms, and also Best Genius showed up and like control, like was able to hold down Maki, and I think the reveal that Dabi is the son of Endeavor. Sorry, spoiler warnings for those people who are watching and haven't watched season 6, but it's on you at this point. I mean, if Tactix beats you, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was the last time we saw Tactix talk about it on this show. Now, Tactix has watched from that point all the way to the end of the season and is now caught up with Darcy and I. So, T, I gotta ask, bro, what did you think of the latter half of season 6 of My Hero Academia?
I hate that it's over. I hate that I got into it, and that's what that. Remember, I texted you and I was like, "Wait, is what I saw the last episode?" And I was so pissed because I was getting ready, and like I'd still like I had my pizza, and I was getting through. Well, I couldn't have dessert at the time, but I was getting through like I was getting through my my cheesy bread, and then that episode ended, and then there was nothing left except for my food, and I'm like, I feel like I've been robbed of my experience. So
full metal, y'all.
Yeah, but I mean,
Here's
the thing.
I know.
After you watch those episodes, for me, this is for me. I can't just go back and watch Full Metal at that given point in time.
I hear you.
Because Full Metal, I feel like there's still a build. Like I haven't gotten to the most epic parts yet. There's still a lot of developing that is taking place currently from where I am. So I feel like I'd be backtracking. But anyway, in regards to the final couple episodes that I had left, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the callback, or rather the reunion between Deku and the muscle guy.
Yeah.
However, I was like, okay, like it just kind of goes to show how advanced Deku is, and he's not even at 100% yet because he blew through that guy like he was nothing, yo. Like it was like I thought it was gonna be like a long, drawn out fight, and the shit was over in like 3 minutes. I'm like, wait, that's it? Yo, that man was a problem for you like 2 years ago, and now it's just like, yo, get the fuck out the way. I got more important business to handle.
Hold up. But before we go on that point, what did you think of his dream sequence with the previous users?
I found that to be really, really intriguing. I liked the emotional test that they put him through.
Really?
Yeah, I really liked that because when she hit him with that question of like, or I feel like it was like they were playing mind games with him and be like, yeah, you have to take out, you have to take this guy out. And of course, in old Deku fashion, he was like, you know, I still feel like there's good in him. And as the hero that I've primed myself to be, I believe that everyone deserves redemption, and including him, no matter what he's done. I mean, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but essentially that's what he said. And I was like, damn, that's a strong-willed individual, because if it were me, I'd be like, yo, fuck that guy. Yeah, he's got to die. Like,
yeah, I 100%. I would have lost that, failed that test. Yeah, but like the two things I got to say that I actually loved was, one, they said to him, the two things he said was, one, all of them disagreed with him. They're like, look, we saw through your own eyes. Mm-hmm. We didn't see a kid asking for help. He's like, guys, for me, when I looked at him, he looked like a kid who was alone and needed help.
Yeah.
And the second thing was when he says, like, okay, I know this is what you all think. I know you all think I got to kill him. But I don't think All for One, One for All was meant to kill anybody. I think it was meant to save people. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, he dropped a huge bomb, man. And I like, that's really what I respect about Deku as a character. And because it sheds light on my own morale. Because it's like, again, like I wouldn't have done that. I would have just been like so full of like emotion and a little bit of rage given like what had transpired, what I had witnessed, all my friends getting fucked up by this guy. Like easily I would have turned to the dark side if I was like, if it was like a Star Wars type of shit situation, man. Like on that merit alone, just from the emotional standpoint. But Deku, even, you know, granted, he's shown that he can get really aggressive and emotional in times of crisis, but he always seems to have some sort of a handle on things and can kind of like think about things logically
Yeah.
while also executing empathy along with it, which is like a really good. It highlights that of a hero so extremely well. And I referenced this in a previous episode of the Geeky Bros where I was talking about one of the episodes of The Flash where they kind of played around with the notion of a hero that um has both logic. What happens when a hero has both logic and emotion, but one
Yeah.
of those is eliminated? Like for example, Flash, he lost all of his emotion because he felt as though um, his emotion was getting in the way of his better judgment, and so he went through this process where I can't remember what happened, but he became completely stoic in the sense of like no emotional drive at all. It was just every decision he made was based on logic, and essentially like you get to see how that can kind of impede his morality as a hero because rather than making like the right choice, he's making the logical choice, which isn't always the right choice when it comes to being a hero because sometimes
Yeah.
there is a sprinkle of emotion that's involved where it's like even if there is a, a lesser percentage to for someone to be saved, does that negate the fact that you still try your absolute hardest and try to tip the scale in the favor to even the odds a little bit? I think a hero would realize that. And like, no matter what the percentage is, he'd be like, no, there's always a way, thinking outside of the box. Whereas when you're logical, it's just, no, this is based on the numbers. I know that this person doesn't have a fighting chance to survive. So I'm not even going to pay any attention to this person. I think Deku, because in the beginning of his journey you saw like he was very calculated individual, always taking notes and everything, and he didn't even like he was not a hero at this point. He didn't have the quirks or anything, and then he got his power, and then all of a sudden like you saw the balance between his logic, his calculation, and then also the emotion that's involved in that, and that's what I really respect um of him as a character. And in the final couple episodes, he kind of lost that logic, and he was
He was all emotion.
he was all emotion. And then now you get to see the scales tipped in the other side, in the other direction, and there's no more logic, right? And his friends, and this was like the heartfelt moment. This is where it broke me because I started like I was holding it together, and then when his friends all banded together to like not fight him, but like they're trying to like
Catch him
and have him listen to reason, and he's just so fueled by emotion, and he's just like, yeah, I don't want to endanger the lives of those that I care about, so I have to stay away. And this is all rooted in emotion, right? And then that scene where Bakugo is like, he just basically unloads on this motherfucker, and he's just like, he says what he says, like I can't quote it verbatim, but to the extent of like, I hated you, and then I realized that like, I had to like I had to be better than you, but then I realized like, I care about you. And like it just kind of showed their friendly rivalry. It almost reminded me of like Goku and Vegeta, but to a much deeper extent. And yeah, and even just him doing this, like making the sacrifice like this, and then it just comes full circle, and it's just like, this is a motherfucker that you want in your corner, even though he talks shit and everything. One, he talks shit directly to your face, so he's a real motherfucker. He's not like, if he has an issue with you, he's gonna tell you. He's not gonna be like, oh, like he's gonna like be like in the corner talking shit behind your back. No, he's gonna tell you straight up what the deal is, and on top of that, he's gonna make sure that you're always stepping your game up, and like that's the kind of person that you want in your corner. It's like the book that I read, The Way of the Superior Man, where it's like your friends will never tolerate your mediocrity, and that whole moment right there solidified that quote for me. And it was just a beautiful episode. Like the
I
bubble
love
girl,
yeah,
I forgot her name. That
I
was
loved how
beautiful.
I love how they like you said, like they showed them as kids, they showed them as adolescents, they showed them as teenagers, and then they showed them
Yeah,
as heroes.
yeah,
And it was all Bakugo talking about like all the things he couldn't stand about Deku.
yeah.
And then when they're finally like face to face in like modern stuff, he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm just like,
Yeah. And that shows growth, man. Like,
yeah.
you know, um, Because at the end of the day, they're all fighting the same battle. They're all in the same struggle. And they all, like, I think in that moment, Bakugo realized, like, yo, we need each other. And yeah, I'm still going to be a hard ass and I'm still going to push you. But at the end of the day, we're in this together and fuck it, man. Like, Bakugo has seen this man's progression. He's seen his growth. He's seen what he's willing to go through and he sees the hardship. And no matter how much, he was there for all of it. And it's like, at the end of the day, you kind of have to pull your hatred back and be like, yo, like, fuck all that other shit. I respect this dude. I may not admit it openly all the time, but yo, like, we're on the same team. We're fighting the same battle. I see the sacrifices that you're making. We're after the same goal. And it's like, if I'm in a pinch and I need to rely on somebody, then Deku is the epitome of what that represents in terms of, yo, I got your back. Like literally, like this man will die on a spear for this dude. And I feel like, and Bakugo proved that he would be willing to do that too, right? So
Yeah.
it was just such a beautiful moment. And near the final couple episodes, like there was less
Over the
action.
crowd.
Yeah, like all of that was just beautifully written, man. And it's like, and it pains my heart to hear, like, even just like when we were talking about the writer's strike, and like you guys mentioned that the anime writers get like pennies, bro, for because the writing is so rich and deep and profound, and it's just like these guys don't get the credit that they deserve. Like, because like when you compare this to like American cartoons and shit, it doesn't hold a candle to this kind of writing.
Like the closest we ever got was like Justice League and Batman the Animated Series. Those are like and like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like those are maybe three.
But that's
examples.
So far and few. Yeah, it's far and few between. And how long ago was that?
15 years.
15 years exactly. We haven't gotten anything
like
on that same caliber.
Young Justice, but like that was before they came back for season 3. So like that was still like what, like 8 years ago?
I mean, Young Justice was good, but I mean, bro, the anime on this, it's like every time you guys recommend like certain anime, and I was like, I know I take a fucking long time to watch them, but then I'm always in awe every time that I watch anime, because it, like the shit, especially the ones that you guys recommend, because you guys know me very well and you know which ones that will resonate with me, and they always do. There's always some kind of element of, obviously with My Hero Academia, it's the superhero aspect, but it goes much deeper than that, and the underlining tones that they deliver, it's like the writing is so good and it makes you think, and it's just like, you could tell I'm like really passionate about it right now, because
and that's what I love seeing. This is what I've been waiting for, because like I would say, like Darcy said something to me, which I actually like. I remember like listening to it when it was in that episode, like when the crowd was attacking Deku, and like he's like filthy. He's just finished his vigilante phase, and like the bubble girl or Otaku. I can't, Orika, whatever. You Gravity. She was basically like yelling at the crowd, be like, "Look, he's a hero. He's out there fighting for you. He's out there defending you. But we need you just as much as you need us. Like, yeah, like don't be spectators. We need you to watch our backs too."
Yeah,
and like I love that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't remember the last time like a cartoon, anime or regular cartoon, has made me cry. I could maybe think of one episode off the top of my head from Justice League that's made me like really tear up. And it was with
which one?
Remember with Batman, or in Justice League, the Ace, I think, where she dies and like he stays with her. Yeah, like that one hit. But aside from that, I'm like, yo, like anime just kind of has a way. It's just it's the dramatics and the dialogue and the passion that these characters exude. It's like you almost forget that you're watching an anime, because the delivery, and again, I mean, I'm sure the delivery is a lot better in subtitles, but I can still feel this the passion that comes through when I'm watching these shows. And yeah, it really hits you in the feels. It makes you really connect to the material on a very deep level, and that's one of many things that I really appreciate about anime, that I don't really get in regular American TV or cartoons.
Before we go to the next part of this conversation that I want to get to, Darcy, do you have anything based on what Tactix was saying, or anything you want to bring up to Tactix?
Well, I know Darcy has to leave soon.
Yeah, I mean, we are counting down to 31 minutes, and I gotta be 8 minutes down the road.
Okay,
Yeah, no. I only thought I had was when Texas was saying I haven't cried like from anything in a while. All I gotta say is when y'all watch One Piece and y'all cry to Going Merry, I have to say it is the hardest cry to any anime and probably TV show I've ever had. And I'll tell you this, it's an inanimate object. you bawl your face out for an inanimate I can't say the word. Inanimate object. I parried over to the next thing.
All right, so like I just wanted to say one last thing. So T, in regards to the lady Deadshot woman who was like basically like using her hair to like shoot people for like sniper people from yo, what did you think of that exchange? Because she was actually a hero who was being used by the government.
And
I
found that really cool. I found it interesting. It was a tragic story in terms of how it ended. Although she didn't die.
She blew up.
But I thought she was still like. Were they able to revive her or say? Oh, so she's dead. Okay. Well then, yeah. My point still remains. It's a very tragic story. I enjoyed the backstory of her. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I love it all, bro. I like nothing was ever really a dull moment for me. Everything my favorite part was the vigilante arc, which was like the last part of
really.
I mean, it was just cool. Like if they like, I felt like how that episode ended, where it was a reveal. Like you see him all tattered up, and he's like, "Okay, it seems like it's a big villain. Better go check it out." Like, I thought that it was gonna end there, and that was gonna go lead into like the 7th season, but they continued on. Because I found that to be dope, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. The only thing I wish is like we saw more of him taking on more villains, but is it really necessary? Not really. It's just I just love seeing Deku evolve. It's almost like, and I know you're gonna hate this reference, Umar, because he hated the show, but for me and Smallville, like seeing him like periodically like learn a new power, like that was always the best part of the show for me in regards to seeing how like they progress and grow as a character.
It's funny you should say that, because like one of my very few complaints of the season was the fact that they kind of just like threw away his progression and just showed the end result, which was, I found it to be like it kind of like was a disservice, because one of the things like you're saying with Smallville, Deku, we've literally been on this journey with him. And then we just missed a whole big chunk of this journey. The other thing that I found to be a little bit of frustration was that there was no following through on consequences. Like Gran Torino and Eraserhead, they're both still alive. Everyone's still alive. Like only like no-name people died. I was like, if they really should have just killed Gran Torino. And like, I can understand that Eraserhead probably has still like some story arc left there, but like, the fact that there weren't a lot of consequences, like lasting consequences, I was just like, they have done consequences, so it's like they didn't need to undo it. But like nonetheless, like those are small gripes that I had.
Yeah.
Darcy, you look like you want to say something.
No, I don't.
He just got to leave.
Okay, cool.
You need to move it along to the last topic, Umar.
Okay, no, that's the last topic. We're going to end right there. So, all right. So, like, we'll probably talk about this in a future podcast, because like we both, I got a plane to catch, but and also you got a movie to watch. But nonetheless, like, I'm really happy that last question, Demon Slayer season 3 versus season 6 of My Hero. Thought, like, which one?
Oh shit! Okay, real quick, because I know Darcy has to leave and he looks hella anxious.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna give it to Demon Slayer just because,
Cool.
God, that fucking those last two episodes that you showed me, like, you know how I like to eat with my anime? I couldn't eat. I like, yeah, that just wasn't happening. I'm like, I gotta wait until the entire series is over so I can enjoy my butter chicken. This I was able to eat my pizza, so it was good.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that Demon Slayer, holy, like, you want to talk about stakes? Like, I thought everyone was gonna die, and that was gonna be it. Like,
Yeah.
Demons won.
Yeah. This new season, bro, it opens up like the last season ended. It starts off being like, oh, we go have some no, my God, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like episode 3. It's like, what the fuck? So like, yeah. So I look forward to when they finally get the dubs on. All right. Actually, wait. T, let's volley it back to you for closing arguments.
Actually, I don't think I can because I didn't start the stream.
Cool. I'm gonna volley it back to you, Darcy.
Well, that was another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check it out on the podcast, the audio version. And yeah, it's just Darcy here.
It's your boy Tactix.
This is Geeky Umar. Have a great 2 weeks, all. I'll try to jump in whenever I can, and our boys, Darcy and Tactix, are gonna keep you all happy and like caught up with all geeky stuff. And have a good night. Live long and prosper, y'all.
Tradition.
Absolutely.
At this point, it's just like it's not tradition. It's like what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.